Hello, everyone, and welcome to Friday's episode of Comic with Cove. I'm Tom Morris.
And I'm Josh Holderbaum.
And Josh, this episode, we're going with the odd couples of the DC universe.
Yeah, DC's kind of famous for some odd couples. I mean, we get Batman, Superman, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold comes to mind.
Right. Those are the characters that fit a little bit. This week, when we read these issues and we grouped them out, we kind of noticed a pattern of these are teams and tandems that are the odd couples. If you recall the old TV show and the modernization, they don't really fit together. They're yin and yang, oil and vinegar, and you sometimes wonder, why are they together? Because they make good stories.
Yeah, and in some cases they're even accomplishing things together. And in some cases they're fighting each other. Yeah.
It's the superhero, we need to fight to get something accomplished. Mm-hmm. And in this episode of Comic with Cove, we are going to discuss the following titles. Hellblazer number 2, Blue Beetle number 1, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps number 5, The Flash number 7, Action Comics 964, and Wonder Woman number 7. And as always, spoilers ahead. Hellblazer number 2, The Poison Truth Part 2. Hellblazer number 2. I enjoy this issue, and the reason I enjoy this issue is because John Constantine just has a way about him. And the odd couple aspect of is Swamp Thing and John Constantine. Swamp Thing is kind of telling, at the very beginning he's talking, and he's saying, he's defending John Constantine, which is kind of funny to me.
Yeah. Swamp Thing is probably one of the few defenders Constantine really has.
Yes.
I mean, he doesn't have that many friends to speak of, and Swamp Thing really kind of seems to be the one who wants to help him. And it is such an odd couple because you have the guy who is essentially a con man.
Yes.
I mean, who's a heroic con man, or I think you'd call him an anti-heroic con man. Mm-hmm. And you have the guy who's made out of plants, who is, at his core, a really nice guy. I mean, he's a big, gentle, lovable, probably very scary at first glance giant, but you know, he does explain that he thinks Constantine is sort of a necessary hero for the world because he lives in the sort of chaotic stew that is the world. Mm-hmm. And he, whereas Swamp Thing lives out in the swamps of Louisiana, and I mean, he has time to not be in the world. He doesn't have to deal with like Gotham City or Metropolis. And even Constantine's walking among the people. I mean, it's not like Batman leaping on rooftops or Superman flying over the city. Constantine's the one who has to mingle among everyone. Mm-hmm. And so I think Swamp Thing's idea is that Constantine kind of represents that. He's complicated. He's not the greatest guy in the entire world. I mean, they've already demonstrated that. They demonstrated that in this issue too. Swamp Thing just thinks he plays a role that he has to play. Mm-hmm. And he really shouldn't be hated for that either.
So we see this issue mirrored, the angel that fell, the fallen angel character from last issue, has some type of, he is working together with Clarice, and they both have a mutual interest in Swamp Thing and Constantine. What did you make of that?
I don't know. It's interesting that after Constantine meets with Clarice meets with Mareed, and Mareed almost says, wait, you mean he didn't want to meet with me? I mean, it seems like Mareed thinks Constantine maybe should be farther along in the thought process, or maybe he should be onto him, or maybe he wants to help him. I mean, who knows? It was a complicated thing, but he also mentioned Swamp Thing too. That he has this interest in Swamp Thing. He needs to find Swamp Thing, and we know that Swamp Thing's wife, Abby, is missing. Mm-hmm. And that makes me wonder, okay, is Mareed behind Abby's disappearance? Or are they possibly just following separate routes to get there?
Right.
Because from what we saw of Mareed before, we saw Mareed he's not a fan of humans.
Yep.
He kind of wants to exterminate all that, and so it could make sense that he might be just wanting to ally himself with a guy who represents plant life. I mean, that could be one potential outcome. Who knows?
Everything Constantine does, as much as it doesn't seem, is calculated. he did a calculated move by kind of putting all of London at risk. And it was to draw out the underworld, draw out the demons and entities to him so he could kind of go about his mission. So you see a lot of Constantine thinking 3-4 steps ahead of, I need to do this so I can get my end goal. And that in effect is one of the, when they had the Constantine TV show, I enjoyed it because Constantine was always thinking ahead. I liked that. Now, we talked about it here just a minute ago. Mercury was talking to Swamp Thing. And that was a very kind of a poignant moment. It just, the tone of it was a little bit different than what we saw with the Grid in the comic book. That was an odd couple moment to me.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But, yeah, I mean, these are two people who are certainly going to be part of Constantine's little ratoon of allies,
Right.
so to speak. I mean, he might call them more allies than they, they're affectionate towards him. But it is funny that you have Swamp Thing, who kind of at his core likes Constantine, I think. And you have Mercury, who really just wants to get away from Constantine.
Exactly.
And there's also that difference that, Mercury intentionally moved out into the countryside to get away from that.
Yep.
And Swamp Thing mentions that you had the luxury of doing that. Constantine doesn't necessarily have that. He has to walk through the cities.
Right. Okay, at the very end of this issue, after Constantine has saw Clarice, and she was pretty much gave him a warning, a very coded warning, and he was saying that if she was saying the words the way she was saying it, something is the matter. It was almost a distress cry for help. But Clarice has her two very odd-looking minions follow him.
Yeah.
And Constantine was trying to get rid of them, trying to shake him off the path. Finally, he had to go to an old bar and kind of use a hiding spot to get rid of them. I would imagine they are supernatural because they had to be.
Yeah, probably. I think Constantine even called him Tweedledee and Tweedledum
Yes.
at one point.
Yep.
And he, as they were chasing him, he's sort of giving this, running monologue of, geez,
Yep.
what can these guys be? I mean, on my list of top 10, the human is constantly going down that list. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I really enjoyed those two guys. I mean, just the
Exactly.
big, weird, starry-eyed look and that goofy bowl haircut. It stands out so much.
The
It's so
artwork,
conspicuous.
the artwork really pointed them out. It made where your eyes were leading towards those characters as they were going through the tunnels, as they were going through the train stations, through London. Every panel that they were in, they were prominent just by their weird look. Also, when Constantine, I think, kind of shakes him off, he goes down to try to find a friend down a spiral staircase. All of a sudden, that staircase disappears because it's magic, and we can't expect anything Constantine to do easy.
Yeah.
What do you think? I think he's the person that he's going to see isn't very happy to see him.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe they're in a rush to meet with him.
Right.
Maybe they want to get him down that staircase a little bit faster. Who knows? Who knows? Who can say?
So what's your? I'll give this one to you. What's your take on Constantine? We're a couple issues in, and what's your thoughts on this series so far?
It's good. It's good. It's still a lot of. I mean, for me, it's a lot of getting used to who Constantine is.
Yes.
And that's a lot of what the Constantine series is him and the things he does that are not necessarily the most lovable things to do for a hero. But it'll be interesting to see where all these mysteries end up. I mean, we're a couple issues in. We still haven't really had any answers. Anyway, I want to know what are these two guys chasing him? What is Marie doing? I mean, are we going to get to see Swamp Thing go out to find Abby in this series, or is that going to be in his own series? Or that'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. For me, Constantine was a great character when I was watching the TV show, and unfortunately it canceled. I was a little sad when it did, but I'm liking the comic book so far. And if you are a fan of magic and kind of the down and gritty world of the DC universe, I would say Constantine is a good read. Blue Beetle #1, Deja Blue. Blue Beetle #1. This issue starts out pretty ominous where Jamie is having a dream involving Dr. Fate, and it looks like his scarab in a mutated way fighting each other. And we find out that this is a recurring dream that Jamie has been having recently.
Yeah, that would be a rather scary dream to have when you have an alien scarab on your back.
Yes.
And you're also unaware of the fact that the guy who's fighting the giant beetle monster in the dream has already talked to Ted Cord
Yes.
about you. And it looks like that's going to be a taste of things to come, I think, because
Agreed.
we already saw Dr. Fate meet with Ted Cord at the end of Blue Beetle Rebirth #1, which, of course, Ted neglects to mention until sort of 75% of the way through this issue.
You know, which is funny. We're going to get to that relationship here in a moment. Dr. Fate is very concerned about that scarab. When he went to Ted Cord, he was saying that you think it's alien technology, but it's magic. And therefore there's a lot to it that you don't understand, and you need to be aware of this, which I thought was very interesting. Then this issue leads to that dream, mutated scarab, looking pretty monstrous, very monstrous.
Yeah.
And the battle looked like Dr. Fate and the scarab, they were going at it. Dr. Fate's mask is broken and he's all tattered.
Yeah.
I think it's a premonition of the scarab. There's more to the scarab in this new universe rebirth than what it was originally.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if that beetle monster is actually Jamie or not. I mean, if it's like the beetle armor gone haywire, or if he's outside of it, if that's an independent scarab. Because he mentions in the dream that he's looking from the outside in.
Yes.
And he's just a spectator to it. He's not seeing out the beetle's eyes. He's seeing from somewhere else. So it makes me wonder, is he just a bystander to this? Did the beetle jump off of his back and go berserk or what? So that'll be interesting to see. But I'm always happy to see Dr. Fate show up. So knowing that he's going to come back that makes me happy.
That is very true. One of the other magical characters in the DC universe that at one time had a very prominent role. Now with Universe Rebirth, we're seeing a little bit more of him here and there. This issue also introduced us to a street gang called the Posse, which Jamie and his friends didn't really care for too much. They stayed away from him. We saw Ted Cord talking with one member of the Posse, and then Jamie had to go, Ted sent him to go to this house, which one of the Posse members lived there because it was ransacked and destroyed. We find out that the Posse is a meta-human street gang that is pretty much a fringe gang of their supply information to Ted Cord, and they're by and large doing well, which I thought was very interesting. But also, you had made a point. I think they said that it could be this future. You never know. They could be the Justice League in Justice League. You never know what path, of course, that this gang is going to take.
Yeah. It's a good example of, there's more than just appearances.
Yes.
To people. I mean, because when Jamie runs into Ted meeting with one of the Posse leaders, by his car, and it's that sort of stereotypical, the guy's meeting with the shady. The shady drug guy, and there he is. And Ted even kind of gives that look over his shoulder like, what are you looking at? Come on.
I'm Ted Cord.
Yeah, I can do what I want. And then to have them, turn out to be not necessarily the bad guys in the end is really different. And especially in, like Jamie's universe, where there are a lot of different ethnicities living in that town. It's different. It's different to see. And it'll be interesting to see if the Posse remains recurring characters or not. Because that was pretty, the one Posse member he fought was pretty darn powerful. And
extremely.
And a bunch of them show up at the end, at least, 3 or so. So
because the Posse member thought that Jamie was responsible for kidnapping his mom. And then he was taking him into a shadow, like Midnighter does, like the shadow realm going through the shadows. And then when Jamie gets out, there's the rest of the Posse saying, hey, we'll take it from here after they all cooled down.
Yeah.
But the relationship between Ted Cord and Jamie Reyes, that's conflicting, and it's hilarious because as Jamie is trying to fight and trying to get direction, Ted Cord is just yapping in his ear, just really kind of distracting him. And we don't know if that's on purpose, a trial by fire, or if it's genuine. Ted Cord is just so oblivious that he has to constantly tell him, oh, by the way, Dr. Fate said that the Scarab, you need to watch it. Well, why didn't you tell me before we're in the middle of a fight? Oh, well, it came to mind, and maybe you should be careful out there. He's doing this like Midnighter. It's just funny the banter that they have back and forth. And at the beginning of the issue, when they had career day, Ted Kord is there with his assistant, was telling everyone about, hey, my dreams, you can make your dreams a reality. I do all this technology. Who wants to sign up? And the whole school crowd is just sitting there like this. Mm-hmm. Really? No reaction.
Yeah.
But those two have a complicated relationship, to say the least.
Yeah, it was funny reading it. It is sort of like the opposite of the relationship between Bruce and Terry in Batman Beyond. I mean, in Batman Beyond, you had Terry, who wanted to go out and fight crime, and Bruce, who kind of wanted to keep him out, but then brought him along as sort of the, the one who can actually do the fighting while he sits back and gives direction. In this, you have a kid who doesn't want to do superheroics at all. You have a guy who really can't do superheroics, but does want to do superheroics. And Ted essentially just sort of dragging Jamie along. Like, here, do this, do this,
right.
Jump into this house, go look for these people. And Jamie even had to say, okay, a little explanation would be nice.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
A little healthy, unhealthy relationship. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Right now with Blue Beetle, we're still trying to get a feel for where it's going. The relationship between Ted Kord, Jamie Reyes. We see Dr. Fate going to have a big part of with the Scarab. We also see, one of the things that I liked was the teenage metahuman, the teenage metahuman group that we have. We also see the relationship with Jamie's two friends, where she is constantly ragging on her, the other friend, saying, do the math, as he's kind of clueless. A lot of odd couple moments there in that series, and so far, I'm enjoying it. I would have to say that I'm curious on if we do see an overarching theme with Dr. Fate, or if we're going to continue to get more little of these odd couple moment stories with the DC characters, or if eventually we see Ted Kord come back, because before, Ted Kord was a very liked character. There was Ted Kord, there was Dr. Fate, there was Booster Gold, and those were some really great characters. So slowly but surely, they're coming back into this DC universe. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Ted suits up eventually. I think they're getting to that point.
Right.
I think Jamie's kind of getting to the point where he really doesn't want to be that anymore, and I'm sure Ted would be more than happy to jump into the fray as soon as he gets the Capitol together. I mean, he already has the bug up in the air.
Yep.
He's already monitoring everything, so I think it's just a matter of time.
Exactly. We're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll discuss Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps #5 and the Flash #7. We'll be back in just a moment.